Hey YouTube bro, what's going on? Who is right when it comes to breathing? Wim Hof or Konstantin Buteyko? Most people know who Wim Hof is, at least in a general realm of health and cold exposure. You know, the Iceman emphasizes a lot on deep breathing. And then, who's Konstantin Buteyko? Well, he was a Russian doctor back in the early days, you know, when it was the Soviet Union, and he emphasizes more on shallow breathing, though, that people who were breathing more than the medical norm were getting these chronic diseases, though, and he kind of found out that people that had these diseases were breathing deeper, and that if you were able to reverse that, or at least eliminate most of it, it was through shallow breathing, like very little breathing. And there's been studies and studies and studies backing this claim up, you know. And I was wondering who's right. Well, I tested this on myself a while back. You know, go to my King of the Mile 87 channel and you'll see I do have a video too, the Buteyko breathing method, where you just breathe in and out through your nose, but as shallow as you can. You do this all the time, from sleeping to doing day-to-day activities to exercising. Though this eliminates things from, you know, craving sugar, junk food, having more energy, not being stressed or anxiety. It kind of begs the question, who's right though? Because if we're having studies on both sides, it's a matter of, well, what can work, what doesn't work. Well, I would say test it on yourself and see how that goes. I had an episode, well, not really an episode, but I'm glad I was very aware of this. A few weeks ago, it was one day at work, you know. Now, work can be stressful, but I'm talking like when you work a lot, it's just consistent. It was on 4/20, April 20th. It was a day where I had to pull a 2 double shifts. Or meaning I opened, so being at my work at 6 a.m., did a certain shift, did about an 8-hour shift, but then I had to drive to another location with the same company that I work with and do a closing shift. And I didn't finish the day till about 10 p.m. though. So we're talking 16-hour day, but dealing with things I kind of dealt with, and I'm just like, I noticed after my work that day, I went to the Kroger, you know, grocery store to get some stuff, and I saw one of those machines, you know, that tests your blood pressure and your weight and your body fat percent. I'm like, well, I'll get on it and try, why not? Sometimes I do just to see where my weight is or my blood pressure. And I stuck my left hand in there and to see what my blood pressure was. It was about 210 over like 115, like some high, very high. It almost scared the shit out of me, like, oh my god. And I realized afterwards, I was just like, I literally had to like sit there. This was at night though, so nobody was like really around too much in the store. I like sat there for about 5 minutes just like thinking, holy shit, if I were to continue this kind of trend, and I noticed I was deep breathing a lot, like hyperventilating, and I was like, man, this could be, you know, like my heart is really right there at its max. I'm just like, shit, what happens if I have a heart attack or something, you know? It did scare the shit out of me because my dad had one before. You know, and I guess that paternal side of the family, I don't know, something about this thing, it's like, we have like long lives, but what is it with the damn heart? I mean, we try eat right foods, exercise, be stress-free, you know, genetic, but anyways, though, it just, afterwards, I noticed I was deep breathing, I was like, and I thought about Buteyko, oh, wait a minute, you know, that could just lower blood pressure, you know, just like when you're like when your breath starts to slow down and be more shallow, though, that's when your body calms down and relaxes. So I just started going back to just breathing on my nose in and out only, with my mouth completely closed. I did feel a little better, like when I went home that night, and I just took a lot of things slower, though. But a couple days later, I went back to that Kroger, put my arm through that hole, checked my blood pressure, and then it was like 118 over like 72. You know, kind of where it's always been most of the time. And again, it was also another day where, I mean, kind of long, but I don't think it was too stressful. But I've also realized that I did it again after a run, you know, going to the grocery store, getting some stuff. I'm like, well, when I did check my blood pressure being not so high, I was already calm, relaxed. It wasn't too much of a stressful day, even though I did work. So it was after running and stuff, and I did work. So I was like, alright. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I was doing nose breathing. My blood pressure was only up about 125 over 82. So, I mean, fairly the medical norm, even though it's like right there at kind of almost high. And I'm thinking, could it just be that nozzle breathing, shallow breathing for me works? Even though I could feel good when it's deep breathing. So it kind of just begs the question back again. If it works for you, doesn't mean that it's right for everybody. The human body is so complex, though. What do you think? Should you deep breathe? Should you shallow breathe? What's right for you? Have you tried both? What are your tests? I'm just curious, though. Just let me know. Alright? I'd say I'm going to try deep breathing, but I want to be able to go longer with this, you know. When I did it before, I did it for about a few months and then I stopped. I want to see if I could go extend that and go for years. You know, give it a shot. Because I did do running, though. You know, I ran the Peachtree Road Race in 2013, ran a 40-minute 10K. Just nozzle breathing only, you know. And then even though the next year, in 2014, I ran like a 38-minute. Then even right after that, the Labor Day Peachtree, Big Peach Race, I did like 37 minutes. But that was all mouth breathing, though. Of course, you go a little faster because you know the oxygen intake and carbon dioxide coming out, though. It's like you engage more and your body feels like, oh, I could go faster. Whereas, you know, with the deep breathing, forces you to slow down. So the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide is supposed to be equal, though. So to gradually improve, you gotta trust the slow process. Can I see where I'm going here? Am I losing you? I hope I'm not. But any Buteyko practitioners out there, or anybody who's been deep breathing or is like really into Wim Hof and just deep breathing in general and on health and longevity, if you stumble upon this video, please, what is your insights? So, but you gotta tell me, like, this is like long-term kind of things, like you have to done this for a few years and how that has affected and impacted your life in a health standpoint. All right. Anyways, though, I got much love for you guys, and what are you gonna do? All right. I'm out.